photograph in which we were in love, caught in your eyes, waiting for the sunrise. I barely even knew who you were. What did you do? I didn't care, 'cause you were perfect, I swear.
I drank most of my coffee. It's like down to here, but I took my Zyrtec this morning, so I wanted to wait for that to kick in before I got out here. And then this giant gallon-sized thing of water. Yesterday, I only got to like 9 a.m., so we'll see if I can do better today. So I've had quite a few garden fails this year. I had started a lot of my seeds back in February and March, and then moved them outside to where the greenhouse was, which was right here. And we had a couple really bad storms, and it took out my greenhouse several times and most of my plants. So I kind of just had to start over. So I lost a couple labels, but these are one type of peppers, and then these two are another type. They're growing super slow, but one's Hungarian hot wax and one's banana pepper. They look the same, so it'll be interesting to see what they taste like once we eat them. Sorry about the sniffles. My Zyrtec still needs to kick in. And then I just kind of have like a big old mess over here. So this is volunteer sunflower. We got some potatoes. One of my neighbors, a bunch of my neighbors also garden. We live in a residential, so we all try to just share. But he gave me some potato slips, so there's those ones. And then in the red bucket, there's more. I need to add more soil. And then what's left of the fall crops, which I know they're going to go away, I'm just planting. So here's like some cauliflower. So for perennials, I have strawberries, which were attacked by some sort of fungus thing. I pruned it and I sprayed it with like a neem fungicide last week. I need to do it again because it looks like it's starting to come back. And you're supposed to do it once a week till it's gone anyways. Then I have this asparagus, and it's being attacked by asparagus beetles. So I had no clue what it was. I was like, why is my asparagus like disappearing? And it was like eating off the whole stems, like you could see by like this one right here. And then I realized there was asparagus beetles. So haven't dealt with those before now. This is my third year with these plants. And then I just have some blueberries, which there's a ton of berries on there, but there's just not, they're not turning blue. But all the asparagus, strawberries, and blueberries, I planted these 3 years ago, so this is my third summer with these. And then there's just another broccoli plant. Also just have some carrots in a pot. Carrots really don't do too well in the heat, so this is kind of an experiment. I'm gonna see how long they take to grow. I'm not thinning them or anything. I grew them in a pot because last year I grew them in the soil, and I broke the tops off because it was so compacted. And then I planted some parsley, old label, and then like this parsley was volunteer from last year, and then the seeds I planted this year never came up. So I have a mix of raised beds, and then arched trellises, and then just pots. So I kind of just, this garden has taken 3 years to build. The first year we just had the raised beds, and then these 3 little beds, and there was just grass in between. Then last year I added 3 trellises, and then we just dug up the soil back there. And then this year we added 4 more trellises. And we actually were only supposed to add 3, but we messed up on the measuring and realized it after we put the T-post in the ground. So we got another trellis, which is not a bad thing. So in this first bed here we have some, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of these flowers, which is why I have labels. These are calendulas. I have some Clemson spineless okra. Only like 2 of mine have popped up. I've planted them several times. I don't know what the deal is. And then this bad boy, which is huge, is just one pie pumpkin, like a small pie pumpkin. Super excited for that. I had planted 5 of them. Only 1 survived. Oh, and my 1 pumpkin just died off. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I didn't realize pumpkins like to like trellis and climb, so I'll make sure to remember that for next year. But yeah, I planted okra again. Oh, it looks like 1 of them popped up. So yeah, I'm just not having the best of luck. And then I planted some zinnias back here, but I'm just having weeds grow instead. So my soil is pretty dry, so I need to water it. So the other day I was working and I had watered a whole bunch before I went to work, like the day before, and it dried out. So then I lost even more plants. So these are my tomatoes. My goal was to grow 15 tomatoes this year. And 15 varieties, 1 of each kind, but like I said, since I lost a bunch of my plants and then others died afterwards, or some just didn't germinate, it just didn't work out. So I think I ended up losing 3 varieties that I was super excited for, but I just plugged in tomatoes where I could. This one is a Brad's Atomic Grape. It's looking pretty good. So I'm trying to single stem these for the most part. So I have anchors in the ground, and then I'm using those clips. And the ink, I'm going to wrap the tomato around, and it goes all the way up to this. I have T-posts over here, and then I have just some like hardware wire, and it's all tied up to that. So we'll see if that works out. Last year I tried to do the Florida wave method, but my tomatoes were growing at different rates, so it really didn't work out. So yeah, there's that tomato. This is Aroma, which I realize I shouldn't single stem because it's a determinate, but we'll see. Got some citrus basil, trying to interplant a little bit here. This is a sun sugar. I'm trying to grow all heirlooms except the sun sugar here. I had bought it 3 years ago as a hybrid, like in the store. Saved the seeds because I know it doesn't grow true to its parent type, but I wanted to see what would happen. So I grew it again last year from those seeds. The tomatoes were a lot bigger, but they tasted just as good. So then I saved those seeds, and then I'm growing this one, and as you can see, it's growing pretty well. Over here we just have some Genovese basil, if I'm saying that correctly. And then I took I think this is Aroma. I had, like I said, I lost a bunch of the labels, so I'm thinking this is another Aroma. So since I had lost all my paste tomatoes, I done like an Amish paste, lost those. Then I started planting a blue beach paste, lost all of those because they dried out when they were tiny little seedlings. I decided to just take clippings of other plants, but this one wasn't ready in a papa yet. It's super small. And then this bad boy is a black cherry. I'm trying to do a mix of cherry and beefsteaks in this bed. So in this bed I have 10 tomato plants. I'm growing them super close, as you can see. I think they're maybe a foot apart, and I'm single stemming them. I like to push the limits on gardening, so we'll see how that works out. Hopefully, if I prune it enough, there should be enough airflow where it shouldn't be an issue with like fungus and stuff like that. And I'm making sure to water on the ground. This one's a Goldman's Italian American. This bad boy right here, look how thick this stalk is. This is crazy, and I started all these from seed. This is a Dark Galaxy. I'm super excited. It has tons of blooms, as you can see, or maybe you can't. Yep, tons of blooms on this Dark Galaxy. Just another Genovese basil, which is trying to flower, so I just need to work on picking those out. This crazy plant is one plant. Oh, and there's a grasshopper. So this little guy, I don't know if you can see it. I had to kill one yesterday. I felt bad about it, but last year they destroyed my garden, so yeah, this guy's gotta go. He's just a little baby though. Then this one is a purple calabash, which I'm super excited about that. I planted a little clipping of the Goldman's American, and then this one is a Brandywine. I've never grown a Brandywine before, so I'm kind of excited. So they do have like potato type leaves, so you can grow them near potatoes, but mine are in a pot somewhere else. But yeah, and I'm noticing I do need to get rid of that grasshopper because he's eating or something's eating the stems. See how little that is there? That used to be a full leaf. Grasshopper's gotta go. This is the third bed of the 6 long beds I have, which they're not even that long. They're like 7.5 by 2 feet, but they have rattlesnake pole beans. I actually wasn't gonna grow these this year because last year I let them get too big and I didn't really like them. But then all my bean plants died and I had an abundance of these seeds, so I planted them. And then I just have these on a trellis, and I'm just kind of making do with what I have. So these are like 8-foot long furring posts. They're not the best. They break really easily, but we'll see. And then down here I just have some, I think these are hollyhocks. They were ate like crazy by some sort of bug. I was having bug issues early this season, so we'll see how they turn out. And then this right here is like the Isle of Shame. All these plants were plants. Those were my original paste tomatoes. They weren't very big because I had started over. But yeah, they all dried out. So sad. And then over here I just have some French breakfast radishes. I'm not a huge radish fan, but I'm trying to like them, so I'm going to try roasting these. And then I have tons. The weeds are doing amazing in the garden. Tons and tons of weeds. This part of the bed is empty. It was gonna have my eggplants, but they kept dying. They were either getting ate or they just dried up. So, and then I planted more and then those dried up. So we'll see how that turns out. I don't know what I'll put here. I was gonna originally put extra pepper since my eggplants died, but then the extra pepper plants died. So I'm just not having the best luck this year, but we're just rolling with it. Then I'm supposed to have marigolds here. I planted these weeks ago. They have never popped up. And then this mass, these are cucamelons. I heard about these in a gardening video, realized I had them in a swap. So these are really cool. So these volunteered a lot. I wasn't sure if they would volunteer because last year I didn't have the best time starting them. So I literally just dumped a seed packet. They worked out well. And then I just kind of let all the plants die and hope they would volunteer. So I wasn't sure if they would. Planted more seeds. But I literally planted like a couple seeds down this row. A couple seeds down that row. And none of these I think are from the seeds I grew. Or maybe a couple are. So cucamelons, if you don't know what they are, which like I said, I just discovered these last year. I've been doing garden swaps and I've learned so much, like so many different varieties prior to doing, or since doing swaps. But they are little cucumbers and they grow, they vine out just like this. I need to get the trellis up for them. See how they're like trying to grab onto stuff. So they're little cucumbers. They are the size of grapes. They look like watermelons and they are cucumber with a hint of lime. They are also called sour Mexican sour gherkins. So yeah, even if you're not growing them, look them up. They're pretty fun and interesting. And these produce like crazy. I'm worried about the trellis though, because I have some more of these furring strips up here. And as you can see, they are not standing up straight. So I'm worried that they're gonna like fall over. So what I thought about doing is taking like the top of the post here and then pulling it back and like tying it to the trellis, like the arch trellis over there. Because if not, this whole thing, once it like grows and gets heavy, the whole thing's gonna fall over because all of these posts are leaning so badly. So yeah, but that's my massive cucamelons. Over here, I also put tomato plants in these pots here. So I have Dancing with Smurfs, which some of these plants I grew just because the names are super fun. So I'm super excited about this one. It's like a darker cherry tomato. This is called Kellogg's Breakfast. We grew it last year. Actually grew it last year just because I needed to fill a space. It ended up being our favorite tomato. It is a huge orange tomato. It is so good. So I grew these this year specifically at Ken's request, and then the plants freaking died because I was like, the top got severed off when the greenhouse fell over, which was anchored by cement blocks. Just the wind here is so crazy. So I kind of let it just do its thing, see if it would grow back, and it's growing back side shoots. So we shall see. I'm super excited. So I like plants because, I mean, they're going to fight to live. So in this lovely pot here, we have a tomato plant that just didn't grow. Guess it just didn't want to grow, but whatever. A lot of I grew 10 different pepper varieties this year and only 4 really grew. So yeah, we'll see. And then over here we have Barry's Crazy Cherry. I've heard a lot about this tomato, so I'm super excited for it. Hopefully it lives up to its name. This tomato here, so I had grown at least 5 or 6 seeds of each variety, pretty much as I had. Since I do the swaps, I only get like 5 or 6 of each seed for most of the time. Well, I only had 1 left of this white currant plant, like the rest had died, and it hung on. I was so excited because I really, really wanted to grow this currant. So the ones that are in the pots, I'm going to let them get a little more wild, and then I'm going to anchor it up, like they're on the outside of the bed as you can see, and I'm going to kind of anchor it up to the outside of the trellis using these T-posts. So this is the 5th bed. I need to add more mulch because it's drying out, which is probably part of the reason why my plants aren't doing well. But what I'm doing is when I'm planting something, I'm putting a bunch of mulch like directly around the plant, as you could kind of see here by this pepper. So like, even though I'm not mulching the whole bed right now, I just want to make sure I had enough. I'm mulching the plants. You can't really see that, but in this bed we have onions and peppers. So this one here is a Jimmy Nardello, and it's starting to get, onions are in the way. It set its first pepper. Oh, there it is. It set its first pepper, so I'm super excited for that. I was trying to top these plants, but it looks like I didn't top this one. So we'll try that again next year. But yeah, if you could see a little better here, like this has a bunch of mulch around it, even if the bed doesn't. So there's the Jimmy Nardello. This is orange bell pepper. I have onions surrounding these. I don't think these onions will actually grow and produce food, but I'm hoping the like odor of them will deter pests, but it's not working so far. And then yeah, in this bed, on this, so half the bed is growing peppers really well, and half is just growing weeds. So this pepper plant is called a Corny de Toro Rosso. It also translates to horn of the bull. It's supposed to be a really big, awesome plant with big, huge red peppers, like oblong shaped, kinda. The damn bugs ate these. Like I said, I'm having so many issues this year, and it's only June 17th. So yeah, I kind of left it in the ground. I had a backup going for it, so I was going to see if the backup would grow, but then the backup died. But it is like slowly coming back to life, so we're just going to leave it. And then we have a volunteer tomato. I've been trying to pull these. This was the tomato bed last year, so I'm trying to pull what I can, but since my peppers aren't really growing too well, I'm just, like, all this space back here was supposed to be peppers, and they're not really growing, so I'm just leaving the tomatoes. Got some more weeds. I swear, I spend like a minimum of 2 hours a week weeding these, and even that's not enough, like 2 hours several times a week. This was another volunteer tomato, which I'm just leaving. And then we have another volunteer tomato here, which I'm just leaving. And then we have just a pepper plant back here. Oh, these onions are in the way. Try to trim up the onions, and this is I don't actually know what this is. I mislabeled it, but I think this is a Thai chili pepper. And then this one here, this tall guy, is called a Tanzanian Baklauti. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm excited to grow this. So yeah. So right here is between my garden bed and my arch trellises, and I had a couple of tomatoes pop up. So there's 2 over here and there's 1 back there. You can't quite see it. And I'm just gonna kind of let them do its thing. See what happens. I mean, since they're between the bed and the arch trellis, they have plenty of space to grab onto stuff. So this year, since I lost a bunch of stuff, I probably lost over 75% of my plants, I just said, F it, and I'm letting whatever wants to grow can grow. Except weeds. I don't want the damn weeds to grow. This one right here is another Isle of Shame. So I had started a bunch of seeds again because I was losing all my plants. Like, here's that other Corny de Toro. It's dead. My other Roma died. This one was a Thai chili pepper. It died. I had started some more tomato seeds. These all died. My watermelon died. This bean plant died, but it's coming back to life. And then I have a couple orange bell peppers, so we'll see. I'm going to plant those today. So I'll have 3 orange bell peppers, which is fine. I wanted to have a bit variety, but I do like orange bell peppers the most out of most peppers. I'm not a huge hot person, but I'm trying to just grow whatever just so I could learn, and Ken likes hot stuff, so I do apologize about the lighting. I was going to film last night when the sun wasn't coming up and figured the lighting would be a lot better, but I was just so tired yesterday, and then now I'm realizing I probably should film at night when the sun's not rising. I mean, I love the way the sun looks when it comes up. You get what I mean. But it's just making bad lighting. So these 2 right here are tomatillos. Super excited. Lots of blooms already. Got 2 plants. Sorry about the sniffling. My Zyrtec has not kicked in. And then I had another plant. I had like 2 more tomatillo seedlings here, and they died, but I just discovered that this one's trying to grow back, so that's fine. So with tomatillos, you have to have at least 2 plants for them to germinate. And then they grow like tomatoes. See, like here it's growing a sucker. So, but yeah, I'm just growing 2, possibly 3. It doesn't need to get wild. These things will get huge. Like, I think last year my tomatillos probably got like 6-7 feet tall. And then I'm also growing some peaches and cream corn. So I spaced this way too close together, but this is kind of an experiment here, just to see how everything grows. So I think I grew them like maybe 4 to 6 inches apart, and I planted in a block. There's 4 in each row, except for 1 has 2, but just kind of left it because I didn't see it when I was weeding them down or pruning them down. And then, so yeah, we have 8 rows of 4 or 7 rows of 4, and then 1 row of 5. And this one right here, I'm gonna leave it, and I'm gonna see if they produce less or more or what. And then there's a big old wasp, I guess. I don't really know my bugs. I need to learn them. And then over here we had some ground cherries, and then just some string from last year. I need to take it inside. But my ground cherries aren't growing too well. Weeds are growing, of course. But yes, a couple ground cherries. I think I'm gonna try to uproot these and move 1 of them, but I'm also restarting them inside, so we'll see how that works out. The heat has been so bad that my mint died. My mint came back from last year and it died. So crazy. So I'm using different plants or wherever I can to try to kill the weeds down here, because the weeds are like crazy. I'm trying to just create a pathway, but the weeds, I'm not obviously done because it's a huge mess over here, but the weeds are so crazy. They're like non-stop and vicious. And then this is between the beds and the arch trellis. See how much weeds are back there? And I actually spent a good deal yesterday pulling some out. But this right here is a sun sugar. It's a heavy plant in a pot, so I figured I could just grow that right there, or throw that pot right there. And then this is a big mess. I need to get it cleaned up, but there's just like trash everywhere, or like mulch. I was sitting down here trying to pull weeds yesterday, so I have that little mat. I got that at Target a couple years ago for like $3. My goal was to grow sugar snap peas here, but they are not doing well. It is too hot already. Like I said, we're mid-June and it's almost in the night. It's like 90s already, which I mean isn't crazy hot, but it's a little warm for Kansas. So got some, I just planted more tomatoes here since that's what my goal, to just grow a bunch of tomatoes this year, so they will grow up this arch trellis. I'm not going to prune as heavily as the single stemming because the trellis can hold the weight of these. But we have Brad's Atomic Grape. Pretty much whatever I had extra of, I just plug those in here. And then I have Barry's Crazy Cherry. And then this one I have Black Cherry. And I thought I was pruning a side leaf, and I actually pruned this whole like main stem. So this is just the leaf. So I have a sucker growing on the big plant over there, so I'm just going to pull that and then plant it in here. And then just one sad looking sugar snap pea. And then over here we just have a really sad looking sugar snap pea. I don't know if you can even differentiate between that and the weed. I have a Dancing with Smurf, which is looking pretty sad. Some more sugar snap peas. I'm going to water after this video, but I wanted to film before it got too hot. Have another Goldman's American. And then another purple calabash. So on that side of the trellis we have weeds, but eventually they'll just be, all the weeds will be gone and there'll be mulch back there. But on this side we have Chinese noodle beans. I actually had a hard time germinating these. I had a bunch of plants started, and then when I lost the greenhouse, I just lost all my plants. So yeah, but these will climb up. This was actually supposed to be the last trellis, so that would have been really cool to have that. But now we have another trellis that will have tomatoes, so we'll see how it looks. Just some more. I think I have 6 on this side and 5 on this side. I wanted just enough to like grow up and look really pretty, and then have enough to eat, obviously. On this side we have a dandelion, which I know they're good for bees, but they're like, our whole yard was yellow like a month ago, so I picked those when I can. But I have an Italian striped zucchini, just one on each side. I wanted more, but I only got 5 seeds from a swap, and then only 2 survived. And then we have some nasturtiums here, just like one little popped up. Tons of weeds between this fence and my neighbor, or between this trellis and my neighbor's fence. I need to go back here and weed as well. Just a whole lot of nothing here. I think I planted, these were pickling cucumbers and they all died, so I started them over. So it looks like one is finally growing. 2, you can kind of see, but see, it's like getting 8 already. And then over here we have the yellow squash, which I have 5 of these, and I'm going to try to arch these up the trellis, or grow these up the trellis, so we'll see. Let's see if we can find some squash. So yeah, there's, ooh, just got poked by the sharp. Looks like there's a squash that didn't get germinated or pollinated, I mean, so it's going to die off. And then there's just some fun looking ones. So we'll see if these grow. And then I don't think I see any on this side. And then these are going to be flowers. Actually, they're weeds right now. But yeah, I plugged in a couple. These were supposed to be my like slicing cucumbers, but they died, so I just put in a couple Dark Galaxy tomatoes over here. And then I think I'm going to put some Romas over here once they get big enough and I can pull some suckers. Then over here is scallop squash. I was supposed to do one on each side. As you see, that one never grew. More weeds. The weeds, oh my goodness. The weeds are grown so well. Too bad I'm not excited about those. And then we have some butternut squash and a single Minnesota midget melon. I need to plant more of those, and then sunflowers at the end of those. And then more butternut squash. Well, my point of the trellis was, so what I'm doing with the trellis is on each side, instead of like having the same thing all on one side, like all my butternut squash or all my zucchini, I'm growing like a butternut squash here and then a butternut squash here and have it grow up. Then I'll have like a scallop squash next and then a scallop squash and have it grow up. Then so on and so on. But yeah, this trellis, I mean, it's looking good. I need to just kind of even it out. It's looking pretty messy. But yeah, that's the garden so far. Nothing crazy, but it's been a lot of fun. I grew up always wanting a big garden when I had a house, so I'm loving this.